Captain's Log, Episode 61. This week's episode of the Beer Ventures podcast is sponsored by the Beer and Cheese Collective, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. More in the mood for wine than beer? They've got you covered with their new wine list, complete with cheese pairings. Enjoy their eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at the Beer and Cheese Collective. New name, same great place. This week, Captain of the Beer Wonder welcome back to the fold from his new West Coast headquarters, Hophead Huck. This 5-pour show covers, among other things, our week in beer, an overview of Fresno breweries, minor league baseball, driving tests, climates, both atmospheric and political, and musings on a proliferation of ampersands. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 61, 5 Beers and 7 Breweries Ago.
With a beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers. With the beer Vengers, he's the beer wonder, beer wonder, beer wonder. He's the beer wonder. He's got the porter brown stout, porter brown stout, porter brown stout. He's got the porter brown stout with a beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers. With a beer Vengers.
Wow. Welcome to the Beer Cast, everyone. That was really exciting. Welcome to the Beer Cast. This is Captain Porter Bound. I forget how I'm so overwhelmed. I forgot how to introduce myself. I'm going to start that again. Welcome to the Beer Cast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens. I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from the sunny shores of Basin number 32 in very, very warm and sunny Fresno, California, I am Hophead Huck, a.k.a. the Pale Male.
And coming to you from the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
And we are...
The Vengers.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. Yes.
We are off to the races already this week with that intro. Oh my gosh.
We are certainly. This is a cool old school plus episode. That's right. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's so great to be here. So great to have all of you listening, but it's especially good to have our old original co-host Hophead Huck, aka the Pale Male, here with us again in his new digs in sunny California. Welcome.
Welcome back, Huck.
Much. It's a pleasure to be back. And I miss you guys. I left New York City, so I'm alone here in Fresno, California. I do have my wife.
Cider girl.
Yeah.
She's a
Let's
nice
be clear.
lady.
Yes.
And have good beer and a swimming pool, but I need my bros. I need my friends. So maybe I'll get some. I don't know. It's hard for an old person to make new friends, but
I think you're up to the challenge.
Well,
I feel.
I'm sorry.
If anyone can do it, Huck, I believe it's you.
That's you guys talk. I'm getting emotional.
Well, no. I think we need a little less talking and more drinking, and then that'll definitely make you feel better, or it'll make you wallow in whatever direction you were going. But it will lubricate matters. So I think it's about time we get to the pours, gentlemen.
I
yes,
agree.
Indeed.
Well, I'm gonna just say it off the bat. Huck's going first because it's only polite.
Oh yeah.
And it's earlier in the day for me, so I would be starting earlier in the day than you are. So I'm going to start. And you know what I have today? I have a little something from Russian River Brewing.
Ooh.
It's called Tiny the Elder.
Oh, that little thing.
And
that is just a special beer.
We'll start off my first California broadcast here with the California
Very
IPA.
true.
The Pliny the Elder. Now I have my Massachusetts glass. Welcome to Shrewsbury, my hometown. And let's
Very
give it a pour, yeah? Is this how we do it? You
Excellent.
just pour
Yeah,
it,
let's
right?
see that.
It gives me a nice left-handed pour too. Let me see. All right.
Exactly. Got that beautiful label on there. Very simple but very classy. And known for all of those beautiful hops, I am expecting nothing but that golden pour from the Golden State. There you go. That's
nice.
Oh, and it's just the aroma is just coming off the glass. Yeah, it's a beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It is a beauty.
I thought it looked like a big head at first, but it's really settled nicely.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? It's like 4 different kinds of hops in Planet the Elder, if I'm not mistaken.
I
it's
should have done my research on that.
That's okay. I can't remember. It's been a minute since I've had some.
At least
hold up that bottle again next to it. Let's get a good look at it.
Yeah, the Pliny's
together.
And it's really great. And I got the last one that was in the grocery store, so I was excited.
You can get them in the grocery store.
Yes,
I'm so sorry for you.
Store. Yeah, they have a nice Russian River selection, and I love everything they do. They're making great lagers, they make great sours, and they make top-notch West Coast IPAs. I haven't had one of their hazies before, but yeah, you can see that's West Coast, so clear. Anyway, we're talking too much about it. I want to drink it, so let's get to the next pour.
Oh, he knows how this works. I love it.
I think last week I went next, so I think it's time for Beer Wonder.
Probably,
it would only be polite and fair for Beer Wonder to go next.
I'm glad we have reestablished equality on this podcast. Excuse me, Beercast. Well, to the surprise and utter shock of all of our fans, this week I have a
sponsored pour.
Would that be the Beer and Cheese Collective at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens?
No. Yes, of course it's from them.
Yes. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Last week we had someone else.
That's true.
Last episode we had someone else, but we're back to our sole sponsor of the Beer and Cheese Collective. So what do you have today, Beer Wonder?
Well, I have got a collaboration beer from District 96 and Abomination Brewing. It is a delicious-looking double dry hopped IPA called Don't Step on Snack. Don't step on
good advice.
Snack.
That's good advice.
Don't do it. See, you'll Bart Simpson yourself, and hopefully you can find this on the Instagrams at the Beer Avengers.
Amazing can art there.
Yes, and as this is a big beer, I am pouring it in a big glass today, just so that we can get a good look at it. / my glass is dirty, so we're gonna crack that open.
How dare you?
And I know I can't do that, so here we go. Let's take a peek.
Oh, there it is.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know, the color is getting
It's nice.
Seeing some gold, definitely getting the haze now on that.
Yeah,
Oh,
good
Ooh.
haze. Not a ton of head.
It's a perfect pour.
Just a gentle sniff of head on that one.
Well, sometimes you get those doubles. They're a little heavier and they don't have as much of the head on them because they got all that juicy alcohol going in there.
Yeah, well, it's a 6.9er, so it's getting ready.
Oh, okay.
But it is all orange juice up my nose right now. So I'm excited.
So we got a theme here, Captain. What do you say?
Well, I think I'm going to go in a slightly different theme, but the theme I will keep that I do once again also have a
Sponsored pour.
try to have a sponsored pour from the Beer and Cheese Collective. This is a beer that a brewery we featured before, not this beer exactly. This is from Tox Brewing Company in Connecticut.
Ooh.
This is called Inky Cap.
Ooh.
Now, I know, gentlemen, we've all had recently one of those beers from the other company we work for.
That's true.
That actually has mushrooms in it.
Correct.
This one doesn't have mushrooms. The idea with Tox Brewing Company is this is a toxic mushroom, so you don't want that in your beer. A lot of their beers are named after toxins in fitting with the name. But this is an imperial stout at 13%.
Whoa.
And this has pistachio nuts, vanilla beans, and cacao nibs.
Oh,
so
like
let's see
Love it.
what we have here
Aha.
in my Beer and Cheese Collective glass.
Beautiful.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, it's pouring so slow, so gracefully. It's just diving into that beautiful, beautiful Beer and Cheese Collective glass.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my
There
gosh.
we go.
No head. I mean, at 13%, there's basically
there's
no
a
room.
little head there,
no
but
room
yeah,
for
you're
it.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
But there we go.
You can smell those cacao nibs from here.
That's true. Cross country.
All right. Well, we all have full glasses, gentlemen. Raise your glasses. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Mm.
Now,
fantastic.
there's a reason
great.
that this beer is so revered out here.
Mm-hmm.
Much like the Heady Topper is still kind of has its mystique and its popularity. The Pliny does too. Even though they have 2 brewery spaces now, so like you say, you can get it in the grocery store, but the quality has not gone down. It's like they invented the IPA, even though they didn't. It's just it's kind of got this air of perfection about it. You know, it's got that piney finish to it. Got that slight juiciness as far as like the tropic. It's got a little bit of that juiciness, and then the aroma is just this air of hoppy perfection to it. Just a little bit. I do get the pine, a little bit of a fruity nose to it, but it's just powerful aroma and so drinkable too. It just goes down super smooth, and like you said, it's made with 4 hops: Amarillo, Centennial, CTZ, and Simcoe hops. So these are all that are more aimed for that West Coast style. Centennial especially is one of the older, it's like the craft beer in the early days. So they used a lot of Centennial. Cascade was another one. So, and Amarillo as well. So these are kind of old school hops, old school being, 2005 hops,
Well,
back in the olden days.
That's pretty old school as far as the craft beer movement goes.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So anyway, it's a great beer. It definitely lives up to the name.
that's a
No, but I'm with you there. I always have a weird time thinking about anything in the 21st century as old school. Like when people talk about, oh, that's an old school iPod or something like that.
Right.
Like, yeah, they just invented them. And now they're extinct. No more iPods.
That's true. R.I.P. iPod.
Well, the Russian River has been around since 1997, so they're even older school than I thought. They opened the brew pub in Santa Rosa in 2004.
Okay.
They were actually a Corbel champagne cellars were the ones that first started the beer. Corbel got out of the beer business, got out of the champagne business, started to make beer. That's how it got started.
Oh.
So they didn't invent the West Coast IPA, but they're certainly one of the earlier progenitors of it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And what's the percentage on this one again? It's pretty high, if I recall.
Pliny, I believe it's about somewhere in the 8%. Yeah.
Okay, bless it.
Yeah, and you don't get that. You don't get it. It's not like very alcoholic. It's super refreshing, which is nice too. It's like got all the qualities of a beer that you want. It's got the alcohol, it's got the aroma, it's got the hoppiness, and it's refreshing. You drink it in the middle of the summer, and it's not heavy. Yeah, it's real nice, real nice. How's that hazy one going down?
Delicious. So first off, I do want to comment on the whole "don't step on Sneck" thing.
Yeah,
because
I want to hear about this. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is a giant fu to our far right compatriots, let's put it that way. I do want to call back to Captain Porter Brown Stout's initial reminder to any listener on this.
Our mission statement?
Exactly, yes. That we swing pretty far left here. So if you don't know Don't Step on Sneck, this is a reference to Don't Tread on Me, that famous flag that we've all seen with the snake that's cut up, I believe was Benjamin Franklin, but we will huck up that one later. Around Trump's election, there was a crudely drawn one that was supposed to look like it was done by a 6-year-old that said, "Don't step on Sneck." And it was like the protest flag by Trumpies during the election about their independence. And it was like MAGA light, I guess. And now it has been...
they were trying to spell the word snake is
yes.
the premise here, right?
I believe so, yes. But I think it may have been...
Don't step on snake.
Exactly. It sounds like some Russian interference.
Don't step on snake.
But after the Russians figured out they couldn't spell, the left has reclaimed it as a takedown of our perhaps not quite as with it folks, as sort of an insult. So it does feel like the ultimate kind of double, this is a double dry hopped IPA, so it's kind of a double fuck you beer, and I will take that, but it is saying yes please to my taste buds. While you had 4 hops, I have 4 hops. Mine are new school hops: Nelson, Rawaka, Citra, and Wakatu. Quattro. 4 hops. And it is
hops. Yeah.
It is super tropical. It is super orange juice. It is a little bit mango. I might even say just a tad pineapple is what I'm getting. Super sweet. Alcohol is not terribly present, so it's going down. It's kind of like what I like. It's exactly what I would enjoy from a hazy IPA. Like it's kind of how it should come out. And there's just the slightest amount of stank on there just to remind me that we've got some some good hops in there. So it's a delightful treat. It's perfect for a almost 7 p.m. Eastern beverage, sort of to like cap off your day. And I'm going to enjoy every last sip while I raise an additional middle finger to our
Number 45.
right-wing
Let's just call him that.
Yes, thank you. That guy.
Number
that
45
one.
and his followers.
And his followers.
Yeah, I prefer to keep his name out of my mouth.
Love it.
I honestly, I really think that thematically, don't step on snake. You have to say it that way, I think.
Yes.
Is just sort of a wonderful thematic sequel to last year's White Boy Summer.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember that one. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That
Now,
tracks.
Can I ask about the brew? Is it Brooded Abomination?
It does appear to be Brooded Abomination, based on what I could find.
Okay, yeah,
It's certainly
looks like it,
distributed
because
by them.
District 19
Yep.
has very specific kind of can styles.
Right.
District 96.
Yeah.
Excuse
But
me.
it's I went to their website to see what I could find on it, and I couldn't find much. I think it might be a little bit newer, or perhaps it's how they're distributing it. But it's definitely in their can art style. It's got that like kind of like
Right, the
faces are
monsters,
melting a
yeah.
little bit. It's a Bart Simpson-esque thing with a snake coming out through his eye, his face is melting off.
Yeah, much like Nightmare, they have a lot of horror themed cans, and I believe brewed in New Haven. So we got a little bit of a
Correct.
Connecticut theme
Yes.
going here today,
Yes.
Well, yeah,
CT.
absolutely would do.
or
So,
states
all-
that
all
begin with the
Connecticut.
letter C.
Yep. That's true. Look at that.
That's been really convenient out here. Is like when I scroll, when you're filling out forms and you scroll. In New York, you have to scroll all the way to the middle of it, but with California, you just got to scroll just a little bit.
Oh, that's handy. Just a couple down. It's lovely.
Just a couple down. It's very convenient.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the letter C, Captain, how is your beer?
This Inky Cap is, I mean, it's everything you'd expect.
Right.
I've found myself more and more trying to be diplomatic, but getting a little frustrated that so many imperial stouts these days have to be pastry stouts.
Sure.
I'm not opposed to it as a genre, but just sometimes I'm just like, can't we just have a Russian imperial stout? Even though I think we may need to come up with a different name for that, because no one really wants to hear the words Russian and imperial next to each other
Well,
these
the
days.
people themselves are perfectly
Freedom Imperial Stouts.
normal. I know plenty of Russians.
Yeah,
people
I
who
mean,
are perfectly nice.
I'd be happy to say Ukrainian, but I don't know if they'd want to own it or not, because it was named because of the kind of the idea that they wanted to be able to travel from England to Russia and traveling from England to Ukraine, and they're such a big producer of grain. They're great. I'm sure they have some wonderful beer there. Anyway, but all that aside, this one I'm very happy to note that it's not cloyingly sweet. It definitely that chocolate is there really strongly, but it's almost more of a dark chocolate. Those cacao nibs in it. And vanilla, I mean, all of these things that are in here are not things that I necessarily associate with really strong sweetness. I mean, it definitely tastes desserty, and it definitely is very thick and a little bit boozy and delicious and wonderful. And I'm actually tasting this one blind. Ryan gave me this one when I went in a couple weeks ago, and I didn't buy a second one to sort of like pre-screen it. I said, this one is going on the show, next one, no question, and really digging it.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Um,
Yeah, I had a tox in my fridge back in New York. But I don't remember what it had. A frog on it, I think.
That sounds familiar. Well, and that's also fitting with the poisonous toxins, because you have those poison frogs that if you lick them,
Oh, yeah. Get a little buzz.
yeah.
Pretty sure it was a stout too. It was maybe something you brought over, or
I think that seems very likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think, when they had that, and they gave, I think we had it on the show. I'm not positive, but I definitely had their stuff that I've gotten at Beer and Cheese Collective before, and it's, they're pretty great.
Yeah.
nice.
Well, before we get into hearing all about what has been going on with Hophead Huck, I do want to say a quick little greeting to potentially some new listeners. So,
Oh, yeah?
some people may have come over to join us from hearing all of our sultry voices on another delightful podcast out there known as the Brews Less Traveled podcast. You might have met all of us at certain iterations and places under our other names, and a number of you have mentioned that you wanted to come and check us out on our own podcast. So, welcome. We're happy to be drinking along with you and excited to bring you on over to our dark side of the drinking podcast sphere.
Yeah, welcome indeed. I've seen a few of the, I don't know how many of them have downloaded stuff, but I've definitely seen a few people turn up on our Instagram that I recognize from there. One, I don't remember the exact handle, but I think there's a guy named Mitch something.
Oh, okay.
good
Hi, Mitch.
old
I wish I could remember more, but I think the name was Mitch.
Yeah.
I'll follow up on that next week so we can
Sounds
give him a proper, official, fully named shout out. But Mitch sounds right to me.
I've been on
Yeah.
I think we've all been on the Brews
yeah.
Less Traveled more than once.
Yeah. I was
We
going to say,
have.
I've done
the
it
captain and I
twice.
were recently on, but if you have missed Hophead Huck, you need to go back into the back catalog and listen
heck-
to his
Oh, yeah.
sultry
fuck
tones.
yeah, my dude.
There you go.
Oh,
That's the
there we
goods.
go.
Yep.
And in case I'm just going that he was actually here saying it live this time
Mm-hmm.
because we
The one I did actually on it, to be honest, the one episode that we did of Brews Less Travel, we were in San Antonio and we did an interview with Marcus. I want to say Baskerville.
yeah, I think you're right. Marcus Baskerville from
And
Weathered Souls.
For other souls, yeah.
Weathered Souls Brewing in San Antonio, and he started the Black is Beautiful beer all around the country, and they're doing another iteration of it this year. And our interview with him, Julie and I did an interview, and about halfway through the interview, I was like, "This is a good interview." It was like one of those moments where I'm like, "Wow, this is like." If you're a beer nerd, this is something to listen to. You know, it was really cool to hear his whole take on how it got started and what went on. So go back and look for that. Beers Less Traveled in San Antonio, Brews Less Traveled. Excuse me. That was a winner. That was a really really cool interview. I was really happy with that. The way that
And
turned out.
not surprisingly, since of course Minnesota is where everything started with all of that. I mentioned last week at the end of that episode of not our show, but the Brews Less Traveled show. I mentioned a lot of my favorite ones I've been looking up. I did also notice, looking up a lot of the breweries we interviewed, a lot of them have Black is Beautiful currently on on tap there in Minnesota. So
Sweet.
keep your eyes out for those because
Which
it's
is
a good
fitting for
cause
that
and
state.
I almost said it's a good cause and a great beer, but it's a great cause and a great beer. Almost
There you
every
go.
version I've had of that. So, yeah.
No question. And we did a Black is Beautiful show back in our back catalog, so go ahead and check that
We
one
did.
out.
Yeah,
See
for
what we
sure.
did.
That's an
Check that
early
one out.
episode. That's like my episode 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah. All of our episodes,
Three.
this is episode 61, and they're all available for free for downloading anytime you want to. Downloading and streaming. So, if you want to say, what was it like? I mean, obviously we know a lot of what it was like in mid to late 2020, but if you want a few of the bright spots, you can listen to us having beers.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
We
true.
brought,
And-
we brought magic and loveliness and happiness to people's lives
That's true.
back in those days when it was.
I certainly like
it
to
was
hope
really
so.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought it, whether you accepted it or not. That's another question.
That's true. This precious gift that we're giving you, you're going to have to
we
take.
put it
That's
out there.
only so much.
There's no doubt of that.
Yeah.
We put it
But-
right out there.
But that was then, and this is now.
Oh,
Huck,
what a difference life is.
how you doing?
Yeah, I want to hear the Huck in California story. I mean, you've visited there before. We've talked
sure.
a lot about your visits there and the beers you have there, but this is our first episode with you as a resident of California, and so
Yes, I have
as
a,
a beer venger exploring your local territory.
I have a California driver's license.
Oh,
I'm going
That
to
happened
vote.
fast.
And it happened fast. And what's sad, or I got my, you know how you go and you get your driver's license? I don't know if you remember this when you were a kid and you get the paper one.
mm-hmm.
I remember when
yeah.
I got mine when I was a kid in Massachusetts. I got a paper one, and it was like a month before I got the picture license. It took a long
Yeah.
time. I went up and got this license. I had the regular picture license in 4 days.
Whoa.
Like it was like
That's pretty
immediate.
cool.
And then my lovely wife, cider girl, she goes and does the same thing. We're still waiting for the picture license. It's been a month. And so I'm like, mine came in 4 days, and she's
Good
waiting
Lord.
a month for her. So hope it didn't get lost. And her being a California native too, I thought that would have given her a little bit of leeway. What was funny was you had to take a test, like
They're mad because she left.
Wait, you
Yeah,
have to take a test?
a written test, and
Wow.
multiple choice. So I'm going in there for the license, and I'm like, okay, I got it, and I didn't do any studying. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a good driver. I can pass the test." So I get in there for the thing, and there's like all these signs around. Please do not talk and no noise while you're doing the test. But I'm like, because I knew you could get like maybe 5 wrong or something like that. And every time I got one wrong, I would go, "Oh God, no!" I'm at the DMV going, "Oh God, no!" Because I didn't want to have to do it again. I did pass.
Of course
I did
not.
pass. But there were questions like, when do you turn into the bike lane? What do you have to do first? I'm like, I don't know. Make sure
What
there's
do you
no
do at a yellow
bikes.
light?
You
Speed up?
slow down.
No, what do you do at a yellow light? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What do you do at a yellow light?
You slow down. You have to be cautious.
What do you
This is a trick question that I'm not understanding.
It's a Taxi reference. There's a really one of the best references ever on things on television was Reverend Jim Christopher Lloyd taking his driving test.
I see.
And he was whispering over to someone like, "So what do you do at a yellow light? Slow down. What do you?" Yeah. If you don't know Taxi, you know Back to the Future, and hopefully my impression was good enough that you recognize me. What do you? You know.
This Pliny's
It's
gone
actually
right
one of
to
the
my
funniest
head,
things
so
I've ever seen on
I
Taxi.
apologize for not understanding that's what you were
That's
doing.
all right.
It's like if I said,
But you get the reference.
if I said I'm hard of hearing, you would go, "What?" I'm hard of hearing. Like I didn't get it.
Exactly.
Let's
Waka.
just cut.
But-
we can edit that part out.
It's fine.
But so you
It's
have
fine.
a driver's license.
I have a
Is
license.
what the basic
I
point
have
of
a
all of that
license.
is you have a driver's
California
license.
license.
Well,
And Cider
And
Girl
what's
does
great is
not.
I did, yeah. Well, but she does have a license, but she also passed her test, but she just haven't gotten the photo ID. But my picture is looks like the guy who was a serial killer for like 30 years before he got caught, and then finally he got caught, and that's the mugshot. That's my driver's license picture. He's got like all these bodies buried in his yard,
Oh, like the Golden State Killer.
yeah, exactly. The Golden State Killer. That's exactly it. That's what my photo looks like.
Good.
So I'm happy
Well,
about that. And but we have a beautiful home here in Fresno. I don't know if people know Fresno at all out there in the world.
No.
Many do not. It's the 5th largest city in California. Is over 500,000 people live here.
Okay.
And it's extremely hot. It's 94 today, which is mild. So
Mild.
yeah,
Yikes.
I've experienced a couple of 104-degree days so far, and it's just June 2nd when we're recording this. So yeah, it's hot here. Great breweries though, really nice breweries here. Summer Fox is one that I really have enjoyed. We live right within walking distance of Mad Duck Brewing. Great place, great food, really, really cool spot to go there. There's a lot of ambersands out here. Like they have pine and palm, and there's fox and crow, and there's even there's an ice cream place called Ampersand.
Just
which is also
ampersand.
within Ampersand ice
Not
cream,
connecting two things, just ampersand.
just ampersand. They're like, forget the connection. We're just going to go for the middle part. So it's actually a nice town. Really good food, good drinks. It's a little bit off here. And I think the heat might have something to do with that, like it affects people's brains. I like to refer to it as it's the Florida of California.
Okay.
So, Fresno man.
Okay.
You know how you have the Florida man? The Fresno
Yes.
man caught making meth in the public park bathroom. That sort of thing is very common here. Unfortunately, it's a Democratic. It leans Democratic in the city, but where I am, it leans the other way. It leans much more Republican and conservative. And I'm voting in 2 congressional districts, which is really really interesting and impossible, right? But it's actually happening.
Yeah.
There's a runoff election in the district we were formerly in. So I get to vote in that because the original election was in April, and now we're switching to a different district, and I'm voting in that district with a runoff election and the new district. So I'm moving from a Republican district to a uber Republican district.
Oof.
Yeah, so we're going to be that shining liberal voice. When you say your vote doesn't count, well, it's going to count here. Like living in Manhattan, it was like everybody votes pretty liberal and Democratic. Although we always elected Cuomo in Manhattan, and I always voted against Cuomo. And you know what? Is this too much about politics?
I always voted against Cuomo. Yeah.
Always.
It's
No, I was
not.
gonna
I
say,
started the politics tonight.
I always voted against Cuomo in the primaries, but gritted my teeth and voted for him in the generals.
Well, right. Yes.
Because our options were always very. I mean, this thing when people complain a lot of time about the lesser of two evils, but when you're voting for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for someone that's less evil.
Right. I have
Eric Adams. Excuse me.
Eric Adams. Good luck to you guys there. By the way, it's time for a second beer.
What?
Oh, wow.
A second pour? Oh, my goodness.
Second pour. This is called, where's my camera? All right, there it is. Okay. This is called Quarter Mile. And it is from, speaking of Ambersam's, Crow and Wolf Brewing.
Oh, there we go.
Which is
Crow
very
and
local
Wolf.
right here in what we call a town called Clovis. And Clovis is, it's like, it is Fresno essentially, but it's a different town. It's like a little bit more suburban. All right, so this is a Kolsch style ale, and I don't have a official Kolsch glass, but I do have my pony glass. Which
That's the
is,
pony glass, isn't it? Yeah.
The classic
substitute for
pony
that.
glass.
The Coast Meat.
Mm-hmm. Look
There
at
we
that.
go.
Oh my gosh. And that is, honestly, if it's a Kolsch, it should be in sort of a semi-straight sided glass. So that feels about right.
Yeah,
and that
that's
thing
about
is
right.
clear as shit. Like I can literally see your shirt through it.
And I have had this
I love how
before.
the
Go ahead.
I was saying I love how the can art, because you said it's a quarter mile. It was called a quarter mile, half mile. I don't know, because the can art looks kind of like a maze.
Quarter mile, yeah.
Quarter mile, yeah, it looks like a maze. Like if you go through the maze properly, it'll
look
only
at
take you a
that.
quarter mile, but it might be longer if you if you
And you
if
can
you
see
take
the
a wrong
wolf there.
turn or
It's
two.
got and the crow above it. They also have sort of a maze.
The nice thing with a low ABV Kolsch is that you might have a good shot of making it through, unless you've just had a Pliny the Elder.
This is a bit of a higher ABV, a 5.2.
Oh, wow.
Okay, very good.
Bless
I'm
that
getting a lemony.
as well.
I'm getting a lemony nose off the top, a little lemon zest.
Not a good drink from Hophead Huck there.
Oh, I'm getting also a very sweet vibe off of this. It's interesting. As a Kolsch, they call it a Kolsch. They're not calling it a Kolsch style, which of course is.
Okay.
But this is Merca. We can do what we want.
No, we
Quarter mile.
can.
I'll have to look up more info on that. But anyway, I got a pool. I got a great house, a great life. I just need some more friends. I've gone out and played my music a little bit at a couple places, open mics, but yeah, I'm still yet to fully establish myself, but I feel pretty good. So you guys talk amongst yourselves. That's enough of that.
Well, I mean, you've opened up a window. Obviously, there are some not great things about there, but sounds like you're finding some good beer, so that's good.
Yeah, which is important.
Prior to this, all I knew about Fresno was that apparently they sometimes import raisins to people in Iowa.
Oh, actually, I think it's 96% of raisins are grown in Fresno County.
Okay, well, I guess they go everywhere, but I remember from the
Raisin
Music
grapes,
Man,
yeah. That's
when the
worldwide,
Wells
by the
Fargo
way.
wagon turned up, One guy was very excited that the Wells Fargo wagon was bringing him some raisins from Fresno.
Right. Yeah, this is the place to get raisins, no doubt about that. And I want to go back to my Pliny. Look at this glass.
Oh yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that lacing. Oh my God.
Beautiful lacing. Yeah.
Look at I know I have a
I just want
clean
to lick
glass,
the whole inside of that thing. Yeah.
but oh man, the proteins in that Pliny. What a beautiful beer.
Yeah, they
that
had
is.
like a snaky tongue just sort of slither around that.
And this, and I had this chilling in what's called Brewmat.
Brewmat.
Brewmate.
What is that?
cooler. It's a cozy.
Okay.
You know, and this was sent to me by my cousin-in-law, Brandon and Caitlin.
Is
sent
it
us
pronounced
this as a
Brewmate
gift.
or Brewmate?
I think it's probably Brewmate.
Brewmate.
Brewmate, baby.
Yes.
I much prefer Brewmate to Koozie.
Thank
Koozie
you.
always grosses me out a little bit.
But you know what? I've used this it also can be used as a beverage holder. So you could pour something right in there. It's very nice. Give a shout out to the Brewmate people. And again, please talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I was just saying I don't want to go off on a rant about this or anything, but I don't like the word koozie. I don't know who first came up with it. I don't know.
Let's talk about this.
Well, here's the thing. I made a joke about this on Instagram a while back about how because the company we work for just sent us koozies with our recent thing. And I feel like if I bring up the exact reason in a work situation as to why the name bothers me, then I'm going to have a talk with HR because the reason it bothers me, I can talk about it here. The reason it bothers me is because it's very, very close to, I'm going to say it's like 70s, might have gone a little bit further.
Yeah, I gotcha.
A negative term for a woman of low morals. All you have to do is take out the I, and you have coos, and if someone were like speaking of a woman in negative terms, in terms of like he might call her a coos, and koozie just sounds too much like that, and that's why I don't like it.
My quick research has shown me that it's actually a brand name from 1979.
That far back, huh? Wow.
For the record, I do believe the new ones we got are actually branded. If you take a look at them, they are from the company that produces the Koozie company.
Now I should say I don't want to say that I don't want to pile on to the fact that our company does it because everyone does it and everyone calls them a koozie. But I just don't like that word.
Koozie. Yeah, that is the brand
or,
name.
Or a cozy, which I've often heard people say. I think koozie is correct in terms of pronunciation.
Well, I think koozie itself is a derivation of cozy, like tea cozy.
Sure.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
But the beer, let's just call it.
It was started when a construction worker found that piping insulation kept his sodas cool and his hands dry while on the work site. Very important.
Wouldn't it be ironic if that construction worker was hanging out with his buddies saying, check out that, she's a coos, because it could have very likely been the same guy. You never know.
It's construction workers.
She could keep my beer cold. Ugh, it's gross.
Oh, no. That sounds uncomfortable.
You see my point. This is why
I know,
I almost
it
didn't
does.
bring it up. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if we need to get rid of the cozy, whatever we're calling this, you can just move over to the beer mate, which clearly
yes, the beer mate.
Yes.
The beer mate.
The beer mate.
And you know what? This actually has a little. You remember like the little things you put on the 45 so you can play it on a 33.
Oh yeah.
Speed?
Yeah.
I've got one
It
of
has
those.
one of these. It's like you put it inside and it holds a 12-ounce glass.
Oh, that's so nice of them.
12-ounce can. Excuse me. So it has a 12-ounce can adapter in it. Very nice.
See, they've thought of everything. If beer mate,
you should get Brew Mate
as we've now branded
to,
you should
sponsor the show.
see exactly. We're glad to have you back, Huck.
We are. We always are.
They make coolers, coffee mugs. Actually, we got a wine one too. So nice stuff. Brew Mate. Actually, the U, it does have an umlaut over it. So Brew Mate.
Brew mate. Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Well,
pronounce
Brew mate. If you're out there, we are open to sponsorship from you.
We're
We
here.
certainly are. We would. You
Reach out,
clearly
Brew
have a
Mate.
quality product.
Brewmate.com. folks.
So,
you just got a free plug. Come on,
I know.
give us some
Absolutely.
koozies.
Yes, we'll definitely be tagging you on Twitter if you. Hopefully, Brumate has a Twitter account, so we can shout out to them.
Tweet at them.
So, I don't know what you guys have been doing as far as going out in the world. I know trying to go into less crowded places with the numbers up. Although I think they're finally starting to come down a little bit.
Yes,
but
New
one
York
of the
is
things
in
that I
better place. Mm-hmm.
it is in a better place, but I find it's weird. The first 6 months of all of this in 2020, I found like it was a little unsettling. And now, even when things are starting to get a little bit better, I too easily slide into I'm not leaving my apartment.
Yeah.
Even when I don't necessarily need to. So I'm trying to open myself up a little bit more. And Regal Cinemas, they're not a sponsor. I'm just saying it because they're the one near me, and they have a number of good facilities. They've been doing $7 Tuesdays. Honestly, there's just not enough good movies coming out right now for me to buy an unlimited pass. But if I can, because I have not been able to find more than 3 movies a month to go to, and $7 Tuesdays that cost me $21 as opposed to $23.50. So therefore, I'm going to those 3 movies. And the other day, I wound up going to the Essex Crossing Regal Theater.
Oh,
which is it's insane because the one in Astoria is fine. And going in mid-afternoon, it's always very socially distanced.
Sure.
And so, but I wanted to see this movie Men. But because a Top Gun has to show every half hour, in its second week of release, Men was only showing like at 10:30 p.m. So I'm like, I'll go see it at Essex Crossing. But I wanted to check out that theater. It's great, even though it's $7. You just it's got one of those reclining lazy boys. It's pretty cool. But I realized there were a couple of nice bars in that place. This is the Essex Center, I think it's called. Essex Center? I don't know.
Essex Crossing, I believe. It's down on the Lower East Side.
Right. But it's Essex Market is what I was trying to say.
Okay, gotcha.
You're right. It is called Essex Crossing, but it's Essex Market, which has existed in some form or another for like a century or more. But in its current form, starting in 2019, they built a whole new thing there. Regal's in it, and they've also got. I guess I would say it's the Essex Market is a little more dense than say the Chelsea Market or the Time Out New York Market, but there's a lot of great things in there. During the first year or so of the pandemic, Top Hops, one of my favorite local bars, bottle shops on Orchard Street, closed. But they're still doing a lot of deliveries, and they're in a place in a couple of markets, including Essex Market. So I wanted to check that out, and I went there. Had a couple of nice beers there, and then after the movie, I went to this place called the Grand Delancey. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one. I was surprised I hadn't heard of it. I was at Sweet Avenue one day, and one of the other people was like, "Oh yeah, you got to check out this place, the Grand Delancey." And I was wondering, why haven't I heard of it? The reason I haven't heard of it is because it opened in like November or December of 2019.
Yeah.
How's that for luck? Yeah.
I mean,
wow. They opened there
of Instagram and stuff, so I know that
they've managed to stay open. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it on Instagram since then, but like in the last couple of years, I never went there. I never why haven't I heard of this place? And that's what it is. It's like it's almost entirely. It wasn't there for very many of the before days, and the before times. But then I heard about it and like, I got to check that out sometime. And I just put it on a list. Actually, Beer Wonder and I are coming up with a list of places we need to go. And I had it on the list, and we're still going to go there, Beer Wonder.
I'm glad.
When you're comfortable being inside again. But I went in there, they've got like 50 taps. And it's like, a deep dive. An amazing list. It's like, I mean, I know Huck, you weren't crazy about the Proletariat. I liked it all right. But one of the things I always liked about it was even though they only had like 10 or 12 taps, I would say 8 or 9 of them were things like, where did that come from? I've never heard of it. It's like really intensely
curated.
Great
list of Proletariat, and I would go there because the open mic was right like 2 doors over.
Yeah.
But I just their prices were always very high.
They were, that's true. And this place prices are a little high as well, but it's like that kind of attention to curation times 5.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
50 taps. I didn't realize. I think part of the reason they've been able to stay in business is because they're part of a larger restaurant group that just had never been in New York before. They started out in the DC area,
Interesting.
but this was their first foray into New York City, and in fact, I think that's probably why the first beer I tried was from a DC brewer. It was a porter. I'm sorry, an imperial stout from a place called RAR. Are you familiar with them, Beer Wonder?
I have not heard of them.
Yeah, I honestly think
I feel like yeah, they're totally off my radar.
Well, they're DC based, and I think the only reason it was at this bar was they probably have connections in the DC market. So I wound up having it's funny. I mentioned before about having a little hard time deciding. I'm looking for a little less of my pastry stout stuff, and so I picked two of them on the beer. Like one of them was Omnipollo, who I love, but they're really deep diving into the pastry stuff. And there were two beers there, and I said, which one of these is less sweet? And Stephanie, the bartender, told me, this RAR one is. So I said, well, I'll have that one. And I asked her between two, and I said I'd have that one, but then she brought me tastes of the two. And for a place with 50 taps, expensive taps, I'm very impressed. The fact that they do samples, that's really cool. I had that. I had some wonderful carnitas tacos.
Lovely.
There, and I had just an Estonian porter. It was like really nice and spicy, really good. So I look forward to going back there both by myself and with you, Beer Wonder. It was a really nice place, and Stephanie, the bartender, was fantastic as well.
Good stuff. I don't want to interrupt, guys, but
oh my goodness, a third. This is what happens when Huck shows up. This is good.
Third,
this is good.
And I'm really happy to have this one today because this is a great beer. I wish I had a better picture. There we go. Okay, it's called Arlo's Daydream. It's a Maibach style lager.
Not your
You can
Bach.
see the dog is dressed up like a goat because of the Maibach.
Oh my gosh!
And it is a collab between Moonlight Brewing and Firestone Walker. Firestone Walker, of course, is a standard brewery out here, and Moonlight is becoming one of my favorite breweries. Also from Santa Rosa, where you'll find Russian River, right? And I really like Moonlight, and I really like this Maibach. So let's get this rocking. I know it's June, but
Huck, you're
gotta
truly
get this,
outdoing yourself here.
We gotta get this down because it's. I know it's June, but we gotta get that May beer in here.
That's
Maibach.
true. Very
Look
true.
at that. Look at that beauty. This treehouse glass.
That was a gorgeous pour. Let's just acknowledge the beauty of this pour. This pour is, I
have a nice
having
amber color.
feelings.
And you know what a Maibach? You guys describe. You have been describing Maibachs lately. What do we get? What is a Maibach?
A Maibach is. I mean, it's got a little more of a malty taste to it. It doesn't. It's not exactly a dark beer as we can see from the yours, but it has a little of that it's more of a full bodied taste. Not quite a Doppelbock, but very hearty, I think.
Yeah, it has that lighter Bock. Also, Maibach is known as a Hellesbock, which means a pale Bock. Yes. So this is what monks would drink when they were in May during Lent. They would drink these and they wouldn't eat. That's exactly. Yeah. So they would use it for food. And this is a really nice one. I love Moonlight. Again, shout out to Moonlight. And then one of my favorite California breweries.
Outstanding. I mean, it's a beautiful beer.
It certainly is.
Delicious. Yeah. Just got that nice, light maltiness, a little bit of sweetness, almost like a plum or a dark fruit. It's very, very nice. Really, the two breweries combined to make a beautiful beer. And I'm not sure who Arlo is. I assume Arlo is a dog. But yeah, great stuff. I'm trying to read the can here. A pale,
Beer Wonder, the last
toasty,
time,
and generously hopped spring lager brewed in collaboration with Sam Tierney of the Firestone Walker. So this is brewed by Moonlight. So really good stuff. Really, I'm really happy to find that. And I found it at this grocery store where they do single cans. The whole they got two coolers. And I'm like, do you have these in 4-packs? And they're like, no, just singles. And they have coolers of, the normal beers you can get, Lagunitas and Sierra Nevada and what have you. But in these two coolers, it's all craft. and it's all California, like great spot. Luckily, I found it. It's a couple blocks away. Yeah, so I'm real happy with Moonlight, and so shout out to them, and back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
No, I was just saying, Beer Wonder, you and I were recently at the Beer and Cheese Collective. Not just to
Yes.
shout out our sponsor, but we actually were. You came out at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and
Yep.
they had a Maibach, and I can't remember which one it was.
Nor can I. It was.
But it was
I don't
a local
believe that,
one.
Yep. I don't believe that you and I officially researched it, so perhaps we'll have to go
Yeah.
back.
Well, definitely we will. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
always a given.
Yeah.
They're really great. So I talked a lot about about my weekend beer. We just because of that brief thing we just talked about our weekend beer. What has your individual weekend beer been like, Beer Wonder?
Well, so I indulged all of my sports ball
Oh, hello.
knowledge and experience. I know. Here's the thing, y'all. Sports ball not my game. I think Hophead Huck may be the most sports ball among us. Your sports ball
Definitely.
is sort
of
of
the three of us at the
elongated.
very least. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a sports
elongated
ball
sports
fan.
ball. Exactly. But yours is the one with the holding and the throwing and the catching, right?
Yeah,
And
American
the running.
football.
Yes, that one. Okay, good. Mine is with the round and the wooden thing, and then you smack it, and then ideally you start running, and then there's kind of like a little diamond that you have to
Cricket?
run around.
Are you talking about cricket?
Croquet.
Croquet. There we go. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Well, the local croquet of Gotham City is, of course, City Field. That other one in the
Yes,
Bronx.
yes.
We don't know who they are. We've never heard of them before. But I was invited to enjoy some of this croquet sport at City Field by a very good friend of mine. Actually, someone whose wedding I officiated. And as a part of this deal, we were invited to enjoy some hot dogs and Cracker Jacks and peanuts and beer and free tickets to the game in the hopes that one of us would purchase a season subscription. Shout out to
Aside
Mike.
from the baseball, this sounds great. I'm croquet. I mean, this sounds great.
Yes, croquet. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. I want to do a shout out to Mike, who worked very hard. But he was barking up absolutely the wrong tree because but it wasn't going to work. But I did appreciate all the fun snacks. And I will say, having recently sampled those other people's fare as well as City Field continues to be the superior spot in the 5 boroughs to get yourself some of this sports ball and a craft beer, because their craft beer selection was off the hook.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Last
Oh
time I
yeah,
went there,
yeah. I mean, that's I would happily. I'm not into it, but I always enjoy hanging out with my friends. And if my friends want to go there, I would happily go back there anytime again.
we went together a couple years ago.
That's actually what I was specifically referring to. That's the only time I've been there for a game.
Spoiler alert.
Since it was built. No, I mean I was. You're right. I was referring to the general, but I should have been more grateful for the specific. No, it was really great there. I have been there a couple of times when there wasn't a game going on.
But you got your shot there, right? I think.
Well, I mean, that was the most recent, but yeah,
Yes.
the first time I went there, I mean, we all went to McKellar there together.
That's true.
Yeah.
But when we saw that game, both before and after the thing, I believe, or maybe just after. But then I went there one time for McKellar when there wasn't even a game going on. And you're right, I went there most recently. I went there for my shot. I think Ebbs, which has taken over the McKellar space, I think they're only open on game day. But they're open 2 hours before. So I think one of these days you and I have to go out there at opening before the baseball fans are out in force and really do some research, beer venturing, etc.
Deep, important research. And if we can get a very inexpensive ticket to go into the park, I feel like the research could continue because, we had a limited selection for my complimentary beverages. And Beer Venger is always a thrifty beer venger, but a thrifty beer venger always tips.
Of course.
Well, of course.
Exactly.
What was your free
are
beer,
you vermin? Of course you're going to tip.
Exactly. I'm just reminding all of our thrifty beer vengers out there that part of the beer venger code is tipping. So,
No doubt.
but now we did have a pretty good selection. There was
okay.
this very artisanal beer known as Coors. I don't know if anyone's
No,
tried it
no,
before.
no.
It sounds
It's
vaguely
very
familiar. Yeah.
It's unique. It had a mountain on the can. I was a little confused.
Were
It
the
felt
mountains
a little
blue?
bit too. Well, sort of. Like I wasn't sure. I honestly, it felt a little too highbrow for my taste. So I decided to just like take a step down.
You
You
didn't
know.
have one?
Right.
And
Right.
I did not have one of those. I did not
Okay.
try it. I know it's a failing on my
It would
part.
be
We'll work on that for next
interesting to
time.
try as a beer expert to go back
Exactly,
and
yeah.
try
Well,
something
sure.
like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we should investigate.
We're
However,
not
I
beer
did.
snobs. We're not animals.
Yeah, we could
Exactly.
we should have that kind of show one of these days where we each have a macro brew.
Actually, that would be really fun.
The
Yeah,
captain's
put it on the
like,
calendar.
"Hey," yeah, and
Could
then
be,
we
yeah.
could not do that. No,
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
I
I'm
agree.
just. I don't know if it would fill a whole show.
No, I agree, Cap.
But we
shouldn't
could
do
try.
that.
Yeah,
No,
you
no,
could
no.
have a Guinness. I feel like the captain would have a Guinness.
Yeah. Is that still officially macro?
Yeah, they're
yeah,
macro,
all right.
but I like a nice Guinness on
Yeah.
draft. Yeah,
It's a good beer. But I will say the beer that
if you got to be really technical, you could do any InBev thing. Like, all right, I'll have a Blue Point, and that'll
well,
be. My
I'd have a
macro
Goose
beer.
Island.
I'm gonna have a good.
There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
I'll just
Yeah.
like I'm having a Bourbon County barley wine.
A
That
ballast point.
counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could do a bodega beer. I know, Huck, you're now a little further away from bodegas, but we could do straight up a bodega beer episode.
Well,
that
they
would
would
actually
call
be
gas
really fun.
station beers.
I'm
out
telling you.
There you go.
I'm telling you, even the bodegas around here seem to like their game up. I mean,
That is true.
there's some pretty great bodegas.
Yeah. But I did want to call out the very best beer I had while I was in
Please.
City Field, doing deep, important investigations, as we always do when we are beer venturing. And that was the Hop Valley Bubble Stash IPA. Now, I
Oh.
was in the space where I was. I know it is a delicious single IPA. It is very piney. It's got more of a West Coast feel, at least to my palate. And it was excellent. And I will say, I went up to my amazing beer tender, Jorge, who was taking very good care of me that night. And he noted that I was the only person drinking that one because most people were trying that very highbrow beer that we have all enjoyed.
Right.
Or its cousin, also known as Peroni. I don't know if you've had that one. Also
I
very
think
unique.
I might have. It's the Italian beer.
Exactly. It's an import. But I was the only one enjoying the Hop Valley, and so he made sure that I was well cared for. And it was really good. And then as a part, during the game, as I was watching all of the sports ball happen, I did, use the facilities and explore a little bit. And I wanted to say the beer garden was well stocked. I saw tons of our local favorites as well as folks from out of state, plenty of macro brews, but also tons of micro brews. Big shout out to our friends at Coney Island who had a whole station there. Lots of great stuff from the New York City area. So I am very excited to be reporting that City Field is alive and well and representing the Beer Venger code valiantly.
Honestly, I think that's really great. I love the fact that if you go, I mean, not to go back again to Essex Mark, but I feel there's a similar thing there because if you're there, go to Grand Delancey, go to Trop Hops. The Regal actually does have a bar on the way up to the movie theater, but it's mostly InBev crap there. I would say like there are much better bars closer to the movie theater. Go for the Lazy Boy recliners for $7 Tuesdays, but you can skip the bar because there are great bars nearby. I did also want to talk a little bit. We've heard a little bit about from some of our listeners, watchers.
What? Oh my goodness!
I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, the first one I should say, taking it all the way back to Brewvana and Brewers Less Traveled.
Yes.
And now giving away the end of the story. But anyway, a guy named Jim Mullins, who I've met, and I believe that the Belgian babe knows him fairly well. He reached out just out of nowhere, said, "Hey, Beer Vengers, know where I can get a Cold House Scotch Ale from Kettle House Brewing in Missoula, Montana, in New York City?" And I'm like, well, I don't know where you can get one of those, but I'm on the case. So I went and I looked it up, and I saw that Okay, beer menus doesn't give me anything. It said, bummer, that's not anywhere near you. They literally say bummer. As far as like, okay, well, I guess beer menus can't help. So I went to Untapped, and I was like, well, here's a place where someone got it in Montana, of course. Someone got it in Texas. Someone got it in Mississippi. And then I saw that someone from Bruvana, one of the subscribers to Bruvana, even though the first show that night, they'd already cracked it open and registered it on there. And surprise, surprise, Brews Less Traveled for the month of June is in Missoula, Montana.
Oh, wow.
And that is on their list. And I reached out to the what do we name the OBK?
OBK.
Original Bitter Kid.
Yep.
I reached out to OBK and I said, "Hey, someone's asking about this beer," and he said, "Oh yeah, that was a really great beer. The brewery said it may be one of the top 3 in the state." So you have very good taste, Jim Mullins, but you're only going to get that beer in New York if you have a friend who's subscribing to Brews Less Traveled and they want to share.
Wow.
So the rest of us are just going to have to take a trip there, I think. Also, we made there were a couple things. I don't know if they were full-on huck-ups. I did notice, Brew Wonder, someone mentioned that you meant to say yin and yang, and you said yin and yang.
That is true. I will apologize to folks who were offended by that.
Well, I don't know if anyone was offended by it, but they wanted to make you aware of it. And and I know you know the difference, but many of us who know the difference can actually blurt that out even when we're trying to say something else. In fact, back in, I'm going to say 1988 or 89, I can't remember which one it was. My dad was on Jeopardy. And one of the questions that he answered, or one of the answers he questioned, depending on Jeopardy fans know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Because you don't actually answer you answer with questions. And he said, he clearly meant to say yin and yang, but he was mortified when he saw himself on television saying yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
You might also know that person as Father Brown Stout.
Blessed,
no.
Yeah.
Blessed be.
And speaking of family sort of things, someone also reached out or questioning whether, because you've been last week you were talking about the was it on this show or no, it was on this show. You were talking about the Midwest IPA.
Yes.
As if it were a very specific style, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But this person who wrote was a little skeptical because the only time they'd ever heard about it before was on episode 30, also known as Go Midwest Young Beer Wonder or something like that. And you also were talking about that style, and you were talking about the exact same beer.
Yes,
is this a
Price.
style, or is this one brewery trying to make this style happen?
So I here's the thing. I am biased because the person who buys me my Midwest IPAs is my father, and his favorite of the Midwest IPAs is Price. So I did do some investigation. I appreciate the push, and what I have determined in my deep and thorough reading of the internet, which means using our Lord Google be praised, to bring me the information that I need, is that this seems to be a fully Minnesota attempt at really acing their beer game, because a number of different breweries are trying to find that midway point between the West Coast and East Coast style IPAs. So something that's still a little bit juicy, still a little bit hazy, but has a piney element. And most of them do seem to be in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. I did find records of it going all the way back to 2016. So it does seem to be a full-on attempt to make this a style. But I did want to call out Bauhaus Labs with their Sky 5 Midwest Coast IPA, the Midwest IPA from Urban Growler Brewing, who we believe may be coining the term and has given a definition of it as being the cool kid on the block, the inclusive, confident cool kid. As such. As well as Lift Bridge Brewing, who has one, and the classic Minnesota brewery Summit. So far, it seems to be Minnesota's attempt to shoehorn their way into the beer scene, and based on the last 4 weeks of drinking on the Brews Less Traveled podcast, I welcome the Midwest IPA into our lives.
So it sounds like it's a good beer. I don't think there's enough examples of it where it can really be categorized. I don't think the BJCP is going to be registering this as a style just yet.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
If anything, maybe a better name for it would be the Minnesota IPA as opposed to the Midwest IPA. However,
the upper Midwest IPA.
that doesn't mean it can't change. I'd love to
That's
see
true.
like if Cincinnati and Dayton breweries doing their take on the Midwest IPA, and that might well happen.
Kansas City.
But at this point, I think our person who wrote certainly has a bit of a point. Even if now, here's also I'm curious about, because I had to look it up when you said the name, because you pronounce it Price. Is that how everyone there
Yes.
pronounces it? It looks like
that's how my dad
Prize.
pronounces it. Yes,
Okay.
that's how my dad pronounces it. So,
For
and
those
he is
of you
he
who are
is
looking
a
this up, it's
true Minnesotan.
Pryes, and it looks to me like Prize, but it's Price. People who go there.
Interesting, because I would posit that there's also a Mid-Atlantic IPA.
Ooh, okay.
Breweries like Aslin and RAR and The Vale.
Oh, RAR, the one I was talking about before? R-A-R,
You had a
this is
RAR
something
this
a different
week,
one.
yeah. These breweries have an IPA that is a little bit different than a hazy, but it's not quite. It's not a West Coast. So that's another one to bring up in discussion, is the Mid-Atlantic IPA. Does
It's
it
important that we
exist?
keep these distinctions. It's important that we keep these distinctions because one must
like they
sample
said,
all
that
of the IPAs.
The official brewery didn't even allow the New England IPA to exist until just a couple of years ago, where they
That's
were like,
true.
okay, fine, it's a different style. Which is,
I think we need to
obviously
reach
quite
out to our
different.
listeners. How many breweries do you think have to make, how many versions of a beer have to be out there for it to be an official style? I don't know the answer to this. I'm fully convinced that Prize or Price Midwest IPA is a great beer. Whether it's a full-fledged style remains to be seen, and I'm rooting for them. I
I
hope
was
they're
gonna say,
influential. Yeah.
We're all
We
rooting
all
for
know
them.
we're all rooting for you, Price.
That
or
would be
Prize.
where we have the Tyra Banks meme
And-
at this point.
And here's the thing:
I don't know
if
the
it-
Tyra Banks meme.
Yeah, you should get that on your soundboard.
All right.
We were all
We were
rooting
rooting
for
for.
you.
It's a top model thing. It's a top model
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I'm just saying, Prize or Price. If you'd love to come on and argue for the Midwest IPA,
Or be a sponsor.
or be a sponsor, or just like explain yourselves. First off, I will happily drink the beer anytime. So
Sounds like a
rock and
great
roll.
beer, yeah.
Yeah,
No
but
disputing
you should.
that.
Yeah, you should just kind of come out and hang out with us because we'd love to know your thoughts on these things.
Beer is
Yeah,
beer is
I
beer.
think that's a great idea.
what I say.
Yep.
In the
Well,
words of
any-
Lin-Manuel Miranda, beer is
Lin-Manuel
beer is
Miranda.
beer is beer.
Beer is beer is beer.
Beer
Well,
is beer is beer is beer is beer.
I'm quite surprised
That's
that I did
a
go for the
wonderful.
third
That's
beer.
a wonderful.
This was not planned.
I just think that's a. I think that's a wonderful thing to introduce Pride Month, is to bastardize the Lin-Manuel Miranda quote about the
Beer is beer is
LGBTQ
beer is
community.
beer. And
Alphabet Mafia.
I
But,
could
you
go
know.
for a fourth. You see that I'm not. I mean, I know we're almost out of time, but
Well, I wanted, before you go for your fourth, and honestly, I feel like we should end with a fourth beer from Huck because that would be record breaking. But I did want to quickly call out two very exciting things that are happening in quick succession. The first one is Big Alice is having their anniversary party.
Yes,
You know
I'm
we
so
love
glad
Big
you
Alice.
mentioned that. Yes.
Yes, on June 12th, which is a Sunday, and they are it's their 9th anniversary, and they are releasing a beer, Captain, that I think you are going to be very excited about.
Oh, I
because
saw it. Yeah.
Yep, if I know anything about the Captain, it is that every season is stout season, which means
is.
that they are doing on draft only, released on their
draft
anniversary. Yep, a coconut summer stout, which they describe as the Beer Venger's favorite word, quaffable.
Well, I will definitely have one of those or more.
Yes. One should. And then I also do need to make an important shout out to our dear favorite, the Pony Bar, which will
Oh,
be
yeah.
celebrating its 12th birthday.
wow, how about that?
Or 13th
Mazel
birthday,
tov.
excuse me.
Yeah.
13th birthday, excuse me. Coming up very soon. And we'll be doing important things there. We will have more information about Lucky Number 13 coming up on future beer casts. But I did
sure
want to
will.
shout out that is coming forward. And important things may happen.
Good call. We should do a Beer
That's- yeah,
Vengers
I'm so glad you're
podcast from the bar.
Yeah, I think
That's
I'll need
always
to
been a
up
dream
our
of mine for
sound
the
equipment for
podcast.
that. But yes.
Yes, that is actually, I want to throw out the date actually because it's coming up sooner than I thought it was. Their party is on June 14th.
Okay.
Yes. So this will be important Beer Ventures research.
So that
Just
will,
throwing that out there.
yes, less than barely more than a week. If you're listening to this, The earliest you'll be listening to it is on the Monday before the Wednesday, like 9 days before that happens. So you have plenty of time to set that in. I don't think I have plans for that day yet. The only thing I have plans between now and then is
I think you do have plans for that day.
Well, we're going to yes, absolutely.
Yes,
the only plans.
Thank you.
The only plans between now and then is a Belgian babe tomorrow night are going to see Bruce McCullough at the Soho Playhouse.
Oh, I saw that he was playing in town. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
neat.
Oh,
for those of you, Beer Wonder doesn't get the reference, but
no,
but he's an original kid in the hall. They just came out. I mean, not those of us who followed comedy in the '90s know him.
The new season,
but also they've never quite gone away, and they just released a bunch of new episodes, 8 new episodes on Amazon Prime.
Amazingly,
and they're one of the best sketch comedy groups of all time. And so I'm looking forward to see what Bruce has to say.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched the Kids in the Hall, there's full frontal nudity.
Yes, there absolutely is. There is
of 2 of the kids. I won't say which. Spoiler alert.
Yes, that's right. And they did not look like prosthetics to me.
No, certainly not.
I've been seeing a lot of prosthetic penises on
on
premium cable these days.
Yeah, they went.
But these look like they were
regular.
Yeah,
human.
I mean, if these were, and honestly, if those were prosthetics, kudos to them for choosing those models. I'm impressed.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Here's the thing. Do we need to round this out with a record-breaking 4th beer from Hophead Huck?
No, we're okay.
Okay. All right. We will put that in the show notes. What beer Huck had after we signed off.
We're way past the hour mark at this point, so
that's all right. I think it's been packed with excitement.
We went to the ball game. I'm thinking of baseball. We went locally, the Fresno Grizzlies. They have a single A ball, which is, if you're a baseball person, is the lowest of the
correct
minor leagues. But because it's Fresno, it's super popular because it's the only game in town.
Sometimes people want to leave their house.
We had a wonderful time. We went there, and it was really hard to get food and drink. And I waited in line to get a craft beer. And once I got into the line, I said, "Give me that." I saw the word Imperial. I said, "Give me that Imperial IPA," and it was at 10%. So I was like, I picked the right beer, and it was from Dust Bowl out of Turlock, California, becoming one of my favorite breweries because that one at the ballpark was delicious, and it was 10%. So it was like didn't have that vibe to it. It was just like really smooth and drinkable West Coast style. And then I had a Baltic Porter the other day that was from November, no less. The can was dated, and I was like, delicious.
It's a Baltic Porter. They age
super
well.
Chocolatey, yeah. Really nice. So Dust Bowl, shout out to them. That's one of my new faves out here in the Fresno area. Turlock is just a little bit further north from here. So yeah, there you go. That's it. Hope
Excellent.
to do more podcasts with the beer.
Oh yeah, we want to hear more and more of these updates.
In the
yes,
future.
we will need reports.
No reports.
Reports
I'll
on the
just,
West Coast.
Hang out while you guys are doing the regular podcast. I'll mute myself.
Don't do that.
You don't have to. No, we don't.
Our listeners have missed you, Hophead Huck.
Okay, now Hophead Huck literally did just mute himself. I don't know if it's on purpose or an accident, but he's still talking. He's shaking his head. Since this is audio
I was
podcast.
muted, and I wanted to let you know that I was muted, and I understood it.
Okay.
All right.
I had 3 beers, I like bros. It. I'm toasted.
All right. Well, I think that's a good a point to end. As any people out there, if you want to reach out to us and have any other ideas about. I hear those lovely tones. I just want to let you know if you want to reach out to us, you can do it at thebeervengers@gmail.com, at any of our various social media platforms, and at the Beer Vengers. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Anything else I need to mention, Beer Wonder?
They've been rocking the gram lately really hard. It's really good stuff.
That is true. The gram is excellent. Welcome to our new listeners. Please reach out to us because we like you and we want to have a beer with you. And everyone is invited.
We mentioned Jim Mullins. We mentioned our friend who wanted to ask about the Midwestern. And if you write things in there, we will say them here.
We will
if
say
we
them.
like them. Yes, we will say them. We will say them. Ooh, that's I haven't had as many beers as Huck, but I've had a nice 13% beer, and I'm feeling very fine as well. Which I think is just as good a tone as any. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time. And now Huck is gonna play us out live.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we're the beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers.
We're the Beer Avengers.